Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Tuesday Times Roundtable. Today is our last in-person Tuesday Times Roundtable, but it's also a very exciting one about where, after all, does human rights begin with the International Solidarity for Human Rights. So if you didn't get a chance to sign in when you first came in, please scan the QR code. This is going to take you to the form that we have where we collect the information. Either you're here for Honors College or for Global Learning Medallion or for extra credit from your professor as well. So make sure that you submit that to us for today's session. All right. Our Tuesday Times Roundtables are always aligned to a New York Times article. In today's New York Times article, you may find it at go.fiu.edu/TTR 1029. If you don't have a subscription, we do have little flyers around the room. You may access by going to accessnyt.com. Everyone with an FIU email gets digital access to the New York Times for free. Just a friendly reminder to the Global Learning Medallion students to keep a screenshot of your signing. That is going to be where you're going to be using for your reference log. And also, if you would like to learn more about the Global Learning programs, including the Peace Corps Prep program, Global Learning Medallion, the scholarships and fellowships that we have in the office, make sure that you visit our table at the front, or you can also follow us on Instagram, and you may find more information in there as well. So all Tuesday Times Roundtables, they are connected to topics that align with the Sustainable Development Goals as we continue with the conversation. Today's topic, it aligns to Quality of Education, SDG number 4, by ensuring inclusive and equitable quality of education and promoting a lifelong learning opportunities for all. And you're going to see why. All right, and now it is my great pleasure to introduce today's presenters, Devorah, Sasha. So a little bit about Devorah. She's the Executive Director for the organization International Solidarity for Human Rights, a wonderful organization based here in South Florida that promotes education, understanding, and respect for human rights as embodied by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Devorah is originally from Caracas, Venezuela. She studied agricultural science in the U.S. before returning to Venezuela to pursue a 30-year career in music, releasing 12 albums. Amid the political unrest and human rights concerns, she moved to the United States in 2008 and became a citizen. That same year, she co-founded the International Solidarity for Human Rights with Elizabeth Sanchez Vegas, who also joined us today. Wonderful. Aiming to educate people on the values of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Through this organization, she pioneered the Human Rights Class in a Box, a program in South Florida and internationally promoting human rights education to prevent violence, dehumanization, and bullying while fostering compassion and fairness. Devorah is also a co-author of Human Trafficking and How It Violates Human Rights, which further highlights her expertise in human rights issues. Her advocacy efforts were formally recognized in Miami-Dade County by Major Daniela Levine Cava, Chairman Oliver Gilbert III, and Board of County Commissioners proclaiming December 10, 2022 as Devorah Sasha's Day. So let's welcome everyone, Devorah, for today's Tuesday Times Roundtable.
Thank you. Thank you. So we are using this to further. Okay. Hello, how are you doing today? Good. It's a pleasure for us, for Elizabeth and me, to be here today and to present Human Rights Class in a Box. As Jonetti said, we founded this organization, International Solidarity for Human Rights, in 2008. And since then, we've been trying to teach in a different way about the values enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So here we are, Elizabeth and Devorah. And Human Rights Class in a Box is our main program. Where we go to school, we go to Miami-Dade County Public Schools, to the 9 school districts in Miami-Dade County, to teach human rights. All those dots, our logo is the schools we have visited during our 5-year partnership with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. So we have visited more than 100 schools, and here at Miami-Dade College, we have taught, to the police department, the police school, or the justice school at Miami-Dade College, and of course, Florida International University. And internationally, we've traveled, of course, with the program to Venezuela, Mexico, Panama, Andorra, and Spain. And we have the route to human rights in Spain, which is a camino of 190 miles walk in Spain, Camino Primitivo, where we placed 30 plaques of human rights through the whole Camino. So if you visit the Camino Primitivo, if you travel with us, which we do every September, you can find along the way each one of the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights there. So that's an accomplishment. And yes, if we have the names of the students here, today, we can issue this human rights certificate or diploma or make you ambassadors of human rights learning and teaching. So, where, after all, does human rights begin? Do we know? Where do they begin?
The States.
Where?
The States.
The States. Okay.
I mean, that's how it is, but whether it should be.
I don't think so. I'm going to convince you otherwise. So the world population is 8 billion people right now and growing fast. And only 5% of the world population knows that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights exists. And only 1% of the 5% has read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. How many of you have read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? 2, 3. Okay. So only out of 8 billion, approximately 4 million people have read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So that is a problem, right? Did you study or did you learn, did you read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights or human rights when you were in high school? Yes? Elementary? Me neither, really. So, the largest population is India, then China, United States, and only 4 million people knows about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights has been translated in more than 555 languages and dialects. How many languages do we speak here? Spanish, English, anyone? Hungarian, German. You have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in those languages, 555. So it's not a matter that we don't have, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is in a language that we don't understand. Yes. So where, after all, does human rights begin? Let's look for them. Okay, how we play this audio? Where, after all, do universal human rights begin? In small places, close to home, so close and so small that they cannot be seen on any maps of the world, yet they are the world of the individual person. The neighborhood he lives in, the school or college he attends, the factory, farm, or office where he works. Such are the places where every man, woman, and child seeks equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity without discrimination. Unless these rights have meaning there, they have little meaning anywhere.
without concerted citizen action to uphold them close to home, we shall look in vain for progress in the larger world.
So for us, human rights begin here, with everyone, every individual present in this class today. It begins here. It begins in schools. It begins in your work, at work. Those are the places where we always ask for better justice, better solutions, better ambient, better everything, okay? So in 2010 or 2009, I have forgotten, we attempted to break a Guinness World Record reading the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's called the Guinness World Record for longest reading out loud marathon by a team. It was set at 220 hours. We, got it to 240, 15 minutes, 27 seconds. In a room like this, we couldn't go anywhere. We stayed there for 10 days, 240 hours, reading day and night out loud the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that you can read in 15 minutes. So imagine how many times we, heard repeat, and she was reading and the other was reading, and we got the Universal Declaration of Human Rights embedded in our body. And we knew at that time how important this document is. And the words, what is the real meaning of each word in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? There are 195 countries, part of the United Nations right now, 2 observers, the Vatican and Palestine. There, 193 is recognized by the United Nations, and 1 woman has visited all of them. I want to do this. 70 years old, and she has visited all of them. So where, after all, does human rights begin? And we want you today to, at the end of the presentation, be able to answer these 5 questions. What is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Why and when was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights written? What is the definition of human rights? What are human rights for? How do we use them? And how many human rights we have? What is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Yes?
It was written by the UN to kind of counter the idea that the states needed to, that states were the one that gives rights, but then the UN said that actually human rights come from the humans. It's inherent, right? Mm-hmm. And that was one of the first documents that really put it into words.
You said it. It is a document, an international document, okay? And that's the simple answer. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is an international document. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is an international document, and 2 of the most important documents that we have as a citizen of a country is the Constitution of each state, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Why and when was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights written?
I have no idea, maybe after World War II.
Correct. You had an idea. Yes, after World War II. What happened during World War II? The Holocaust. In 1945, the United Nations was created at the end of World War II to help stop wars between countries, respect and protect human rights, to build a better world. The team wanted to make a list of rules to promote peace, to make sure that all people, no matter where they come from or why they believe, should be treated fair, kindly, and with respect. This was especially important because during World War II, something really, really bad happened. What happened? The Holocaust, you said it. But 70 million people died. 70 million people died, were, at war. Jews were exterminated. But not only Jews, the artists, other people from Europe was exterminated. So it was like pay attention, what has happened here. So in addition, you have it here, around 1.5 million Romani, 25,000 homosexuals, 3 to 3 million Russian prisoners of war, 2 million ethnic Slavs, Afro-Germans, Jehovah's Witnesses, and people with disabilities were also killed. What is it called, all that happened? Wasn't it discrimination?
It's called a genocide.
A genocide, but why? What was the reason?
Well, there was several reasons. I actually did a whole project on this, but
Okay.
I mean, if we're talking about Hitler specifically, he felt a sense of almost like embarrassment when Germany lost World War I, when they renounced or they surrendered, better said. And so that, like, he identified very strongly with Germany, and that he felt that that was his identity. And so when Germany surrendered, that was a huge blow to his ego, and he gave the reason for that to Jewish people. He said that it was Jewish people's fault, amongst others, that Germany had lost that war.
Mm-hmm. And what was that? Wasn't it discrimination?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, the reason was discrimination. I don't like you because you are such and such. Huh? So,
There was also the the problem with the monetary system in Germany. They were printing so much money that eventually people started to burn it because it didn't work for anything, basically. And I feel like people use that as an excuse to like persecute, to blame someone for this, and that resulted in probably Hitler.
Again, discrimination for racial motives, for monetary motives, political motives. Yes, discrimination. In April 1946, inside the UN, a special team was formed called the Drafting Committee. They had an important leader, Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt, who was the wife of a past US President Franklin D. Roosevelt. It had members from countries like Australia, China, Chile, France, Lebanon, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. So almost every continent was represented here. It's not like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a Western document, No. All these people from all around the world, representing their countries and their ideologies and their constitutions, were there to, for the first time, write a document that will protect us from injustices, to preserve human dignity. So, that is why they wrote an international document called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, to protect everyone and to make sure that the very bad things that happened during World War II will not happen again. Are we going to, in the situation of having another World War? Maybe, if you don't pay attention. Maybe. Sorry? Yes?
I think also they have some type of mental issues, mental disability to be able to do these cruel things. They were not good.
They were like alienated. I mean, yes, they have the thoughts.
An educated person would not do that.
Yes. So the preamble and the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights were rewritten many times in the drafting process. And the document was reviewed more than 2,000 times. How many times do you review your papers before handing it out to your teacher? Only 1,000? Good. The drafters review over 50 contemporary constitutions to ensure the inclusion of all rights from around the world. Eleanor Roosevelt insisted that the language of the Declaration be brief and simple so that all people could understand it. And the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is brief and simple. Yes?
I was just going to say we kind of skipped over the one-drop rule. That was really big in Germany, and how they basically had to prove whether they were a full German or how far along the line that they became impure.
Yes, they wanted to be a pure race, German. Mm-hmm. Yes. So again, that is discrimination. So, you read the article about Hansa Mehta? Did you? About this woman that was part of the, of the drafting committee during the drafting of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights from 1946 to 1948. And this is the video that we have. Michelle.
She was from India, right?
She was from India. She was an extraordinary woman, but she did something, oh my God. Her contribution was essential for the declaration. Another woman. Okay. So Hansa Mehta, her contribution to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in Article 1 was, Article 1 was going to read like this. All men are born free and equal. Because at that time, the word men signified, the humanity, the human beings. So she said, we better not, because in the future, we could have a little bit of trouble, So she insisted to change the term to all
we are all of us are born free and equal. And the text of the declaration was going to be, the title of the declaration was going to be the Universal Declaration for Men's Rights. So the final name is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Why for human rights? Because you are human, you're human, you're human, you're human, you're human. You can be whatever you want to be, but you are a human being. A human being, as simple as that. So that was her contribution that was essential to the meaning of the declaration in 2024. Okay. It was written during 2 years, from 1946 to 1948, and adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on December 10th, 1948. So this is the date to remember, December 10th, 1948. We celebrate the International Human Rights Day every December 10th. And why? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was written to make sure that the very bad things that happened during World War II don't happen again. When? December 10, 1948. Remember that. What is the definition of human rights? Okay, who can give me a definition of human rights?
Short, as Eleanor Roosevelt said, short.
Basic rights given to all human beings internationally.
Human rights are the rights a person has simply because he or she is a human being. Human rights belong to every person in the world from birth until death. And another definition of human rights are those common things without which people cannot live in dignity. Food, clothing, and the necessary conditions of care when required. The basic things we need to live with dignity. And what is dignity? What is my dignity? My worth as a human being. So the basic things that we need to live with dignity as a human being, those are our human rights. Human rights are the rights a person has simply because he or she is a human being. Okay. Human rights are inherent to every individual without discrimination. Human rights are inalienable. You cannot lose these rights any more than you can cease being a human being. Human rights are indivisible and interrelated. They work together. The enjoyment of one right depends on the enjoyment of many other rights, and no one right is more important than the other. How many human rights do we have? Any? And yes? Yes, 30 human rights. We have 30 human rights. And they are interconnected, interrelated, and inalienable. And what are the human rights for? The protection of the dignity of the human being. That's correct. Can you tell me, can you identify some human rights? We have 30 human rights. Can you name some of them? What is the rights enshrined in the Constitution of the United States, for example? The right to life. What else?
No one can take away your rights.
That's Article 30. No one can take away my rights.
We have 30 and we exercise them every day, but we take it for granted. We cannot. We mentioned 2, we're missing 28.
Yeah.
The rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
The pursuit of happiness. In the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it says the right to life, liberty, and security of person.
In our Constitution, it's all men are created equal, and then in the Declaration of Human Rights, it's all humans are created equal.
Exactly. Article number 1. What else?
Right to privacy.
Right to privacy, of course. What else? Freedom of religion.
We're missing 25. We can make it.
Basic human rights.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Right to life, right to food and shelter, right to
education.
Education, of course. This is a basic, essential right. So let's see. This is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights related to the U.S. Constitution amendments. There is a correlation because, remember, they studied 50 contemporary constitutions, including the Constitution of the United States. So this is for, comparison and everything. Article 18, First Amendment, religion. Article 19, First Amendment, speech. Article 20, First Amendment, association. Okay, now, at that time, when we started this organization, we couldn't find the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, to buy it in a library, or find it in any place. So we decided, okay, we're going to make our own, tool for learning and education, which is this pocket guide to human rights. It looks like a comic book, but it has, its mission. In the first part, you will see the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights illustrated in a short version in English and Spanish. And in the back, you have the entire text of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, again, in English and Spanish. So one of the, requirements in our presentations is that we read the short version of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You have the...
Yeah, I can start with number 1.
Okay, Ian, you got that this way. Okay.
Article 1, we are all born free and equal.
Article 2, I have the right to freedom from discrimination.
Discrimination on the basis of race.
I have the right to life, liberties, and security of persons.
Correct.
Article 4, I have the right to freedom from slavery.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do we have slavery nowadays? No?
Argued yes
Yeah,
or
modern
no
day
either way,
slavery.
whether wage slave, etc., but nonetheless.
Okay. Do we?
There is modern day slavery when people are exploited and worked without payment.
And it's called?
Human trafficking.
Yeah, modern slavery is called human trafficking. Because somebody that is being trafficked, they don't have any rights. Or they do have any rights. No, they are slaves. Okay. Does slavery exist? You have these children working, in the cocoa fields in Africa, cutting cocoa, the chocolate that we eat here in the United States. And they don't receive, they are not with their family, they are not being paid, they don't go to school, they are slaves.
And 70% of the chocolate that we eat around the world is coming from Africa.
Exactly. So,
Think about it.
What can we do?
Chocolate.
Article 5.
Article 5, I have the right to freedom from torture.
Article 6, I have the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law.
Article 7, I am entitled to equal protection before the law.
Article 8, I have the right to justice.
Article 9, I shall not be subject to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile.
Article 10, I am entitled to a fair and public hearing.
Article 11, I am presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Article 12, I have the right to privacy.
What is your privacy? Give me an example.
Would like a right to like your home, like your possessions?
Your possessions or your privacy, yes. What about your mail?
Also,
Privacy.
when you go
Mhm.
to the doctor, that people are not saying whatever you have to other people.
Exactly. So there are many ways, I mean, that this article is infringed. Okay. Article 13.
I have the right to freedom of movement.
Okay, you can go from one country to another, to one city to another freely.
Article 14, I have the right to seek and enjoy in other countries asylum from prosecution.
From persecution. What is asylum? It's not a mental asylum. What the word asylum means. Protection, yes. The word asylum comes from the Greek asylus, meaning an inviolable temple or a place where no one can be disturbed. So when people are, asking for asylum, they are asking for protection because they think their lives are being, in danger in their own countries. So that's the way. But you cannot be a criminal if you're asking for asylum. It has its rules that you have to fulfill to merecer. How do you say merecer? To deserve, the asylum from any country, okay? Article 15.
I have the right to a nationality.
I have the right to a nationality. How many nationalities in here? I'm from Venezuela and also from America. And yes? France? Senegal, wow. Norway. Spain. Poland. Lebanon.
I'm from Barbados.
Barbados. India. Pakistan. This is the United Nations, certainly.
But let me ask you a question. Do you think there's people without nationality? It can be possible? How do you call them?
Stateless people?
Yes. Who said stateless? Yes, stateless. And this is the case of Mahamamo. During 30 years, she was stateless girl. Only until Brazil gave her the opportunity to be a person. Because when you are stateless, you're not a person. You're a person, but not a person. Because you cannot go to a university, you cannot go to study, you cannot go to a hospital, you cannot go anywhere. You're not recognized as a person. So Brazil.
And for example, in Barbados,
Mhm.
in Bahamas, that is not far from here, a woman cannot register the baby if the father is not there. Just imagine that the guy passed away or left the woman. She doesn't have the right to register a baby.
So there are many things that we can change because Brazil, for example, changed rules to allow her to have a nationality. Article 16.
I have the right to marry and to found a family.
Exactly. Article 17.
I have the right to own private property.
Article 18.
I have the right to freedom of thought and religion.
And you have the right to not to have a religion. Okay?
I have the right to freedom of expression.
Expression. Article 20.
I have the right to freedom of peaceful assembly.
Peaceful assembly. You can assemble peaceful. Like Mahatma Gandhi. Like Martin Luther King. Peaceful protest. Okay? Article 21.
I have the
I have the right to participate in free and fair elections.
Exactly. Have you voted yet? Okay, vote. Is your right. Is your responsibility.
Article 22.
I have the right to Social Security.
Social Security is not only the Social Security that we know here in the United States. Social Security means that you have the right that the state, takes care of you if you're children, if you're homeless, if you're old. Article 23.
I have the right to work.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's coming my favorite. Please.
I have the right to work. And here in this right, in the long version, in the original version of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, says equal pay for equal work since 1948, okay?
We're still fighting for that.
Yes, there. And your favorite?
I have the right to rest and leisure.
Yes, we have the right to rest and leisure. But imagine that you don't have that right, if we didn't have that right. If we have to work 24/7, if we have to study 24/7,
That's the reason why we have weekends, vacations,
holidays,
because a group of people in between 1946 and 48
thought.
Mm-hmm. If not, as Devorah said, we will be working as slaves.
Article 25.
I have the right to health, food, and shelter.
I have the right to health, food, and shelter. And every time I see this right, 25, I think about the homeless people. They lack this right. So help, a homeless, try to, not to look at them as thieves or, they want to be like that. No, they don't.
Article 26.
I have the right to education.
I have the right to education.
Article 27.
Article 27, I have the right to participate in cultural life and to the protection of authors' rights.
Exactly. And what are authors' rights? What are authors' rights?
Like intellectual property?
Intellectual property, copyrights. You have to give credit.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Have you ever violated somebody's author's rights? We're going to say no, but every time that you download a picture, a photo from internet, and you don't give the credit to the person, you are violating a human right.
There are little violations of human rights, and there are.
Yeah, because we're always thinking about, China, Cuba, those countries. No. We violate the human rights of others every time. That's why they were start with the Eleanor Roosevelt quote, where human rights stop in small places. Okay.
Article 28.
I have the right to social and international order.
Correct. Article 29.
I have duties to the community.
I have duties to the community. I have the duty and responsibility to respect every, from right 1 to right 28 to right 30. We have duties to the community.
And remember this. We have 30 human rights. We're not going to respect few of them and forget about the other one because I don't like it. Okay? So, for example, the right to vote. That's a human right. We have to exercise every human right. Don't choose those. I love Article 24, I have the right to rest. But I don't like to work, for example. We have to exercise every human right, respect it, and responsibilities about them. You respect, as the Golden Rule said. Do you know the Golden Rule?
Don't do to others.
No le hagas al otro lo que no quieres que te hagan. Don't do to others what you don't want to do. What do you say? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You get it. Okay. So respect others, people, human rights also. Not only for you.
And the final article that wraps it up, it says, no one can take away my rights. No one. So congratulations. Now you're part of the privileged 1% that have read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that you know that you have 30 rights, that you know that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is an international document, that you know that it was written and approved in 1948 after World War II, and because, they wanted to prevent atrocities from happening again. So this is René Cassin, one of the, in the Commission of Human Rights that write the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. He thought of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights like a home. They protect you from Article 1 to 2, that are the bases, then Article 9 to 11, the 4 pillars of your home, and then Article 28 and 29 and 30, like the top, the roof, We have duties to the community, and no one can take away our human rights. And, from this little document that you have in your hand, look all the treaties, covenants, laws that have derived, all based in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Even your, human rights and the SDGs, two sides of the same coin. Because all of these, development goals are based on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So no matter what your subject study or what career you choose, you can do something for human rights. You can do something for human rights. Okay? Like this journalist, Miki Mistrati, who is, doing documentaries about the slavery in the chocolate industry. And an architect can build houses for the homeless, and such and such and such and such. So on, so on, so on, so on. So, a quiz. What is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? When was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights written? December 10th, 1948. Correct. What are human rights? The rights we have because we are human beings. What are human rights for? Correct, for protection. How many human rights do we have? Correct.
They make it. They did it.
Yes, why was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights written? Exactly. So, excellent. We are very proud of you, and thank you very much. Do we have 15 minutes? Did it okay?
Questions, so does anyone have any questions? This will be the time.
Any question, personal, about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Professor Mulato, I have my class here. And thank you so much for this presentation. I just have a quick question that was like in my head when you were talking. There's a lot of declarations that have been made, constitutional declaration and the rights. And what do you think they have to kind of enforce the same rules and the same rights over and over again when so many other documents have similar rights? Have we covered like 3 of them or 4, I think they were. Do you think it's because of lack of awareness or like how do we enforce them in a way? Because we have those rights, but bad things keep happening.
Okay. Do you know your national anthem?
I don't know it from here. I know it from Colombia.
Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
How did you learn it?
Repetition. Mm-hmm. So it's awareness.
It's awareness. That's why we decided instead of, going through the path of Amnesty International, which is denouncing the violations of human rights, which is the sickness. At the end, it's the sickness. I mean, they didn't write the Universal Declaration of Human Rights so you can violate human rights. No, it's the sickness. But the prevention is repetition, education, education, education. That's why I said at the beginning when we read for the first time, because we read for the first time the entire declaration when we did the Guinness World Record. And at that time, we realized, what have we done? And it's a mandate of the United Nations that this document be taught in elementary schools and the universities and discussed among students, among peers, among their family. So that's why we only do education about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and it starts here. Because when I recognize that something is going, what happened to Venezuela? I didn't recognize any violation of human rights. I wasn't aware because I didn't study that before. So, and little by little, they are taking away, and no. Yes, so I think education is the answer, and the younger the student, that's why we teach from K to 12. We love to teach them because, that's the age when you have to start. And as well as your A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you learn how to write a sentence. That's the way you have to learn the Universal Declaration of Human Rights since you are, little. So you have it here. Uh-huh.
This is related to what she's saying, what you're saying now. How can we introduce this jewel to our kids in kindergarten? They need to be the first 30, sentences they have to learn to read. It's this. So what can we do? What have you find out? How are you working to get this little book to kindergarten?
I think that's why you created in Cartoon Live.
Yes, so they can be taught to, yes, because even though in kindergarten you don't know how to read yet, right? We have taught them.
You start reading in kindergarten. So if they start with this cute book.
Yes, and we have taught students in kindergarten, and we have done it with music. We have 30 human rights, human rights, human rights. We have 30 human rights, 30 human rights. We have the right to freedom of movement. Ah! They know.
The right to rest.
The right to rest. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. We have the program, to teach from K to 12. So we have different methodology, always with art, embedded in what we teach, because we are performers. We are not teachers. I mean, remember, I am a zootecnista in español, animal science, major, and after that, I decided to go into the farandula, being a singer. Yes, but right now, I'm teaching. I'm devoted to teach human rights, to educate the students about this important document, And we have different PowerPoints, if you are in K-12, in 12th grade, you cannot teach the same as the little ones. In Miami-Dade County Public Schools, yes, we have a good relation, We are one of the few outside institutions that can go into the system to teach this co-curricular program, which is Human Rights Class in a Box. And we give each student, one of these pocket guides to human rights. Uh-huh.
I had another question. I'm sure the older they get, students and children ask, in case they feel that their human right is violated, where can they go or what can they do? What do you tell them when they ask this question?
When we ask this question, we have at the end of the presentation various, organizations that can take care of denuncia, of a claim that your human rights are being violated, yes. Or we can explain to them, if it is human rights violations or not. Okay?
Thank you.
I guess I have more of a statement, less of a question, but it is a question if you can answer it. You mentioned this whole thing is about where do human rights begin, and you mentioned the Holocaust and the atrocity that it was. Mine is, where did the human rights of the people of Palestine begin? That's an atrocity, that's a genocide happening right now. And it's been happening without any seemingly intervention from anyone, especially the UN. Although they did rule that it is a genocide not too long ago.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. And I think first is a failure of the world society, the world as a whole. Because, if we have the right to have a nation, they have the right to have a nation, Israel have the right to have a nation, but the United Nations have become a very politicized entity. So it's very hard to get an agreement right now, and I think that we are the only ones who can raise our voices to try to find justice for everyone, okay? For everyone. Because this declaration and this United Nations was founded exclusively to prevent wars and to uphold the human rights of the people. So now it's our turn, because we cannot let everything to the governments, to the organizations, to other people. We have to raise our voices. And this is the only solution, that we say, stop this. I mean, we don't want another, war, because another war is the extinction of the human race, I think. And yes, I know what you mean. But we have to keep trying, have to keep talking, have to keep saying things to prevent that from happening. And yes.
Human rights violation occurs everywhere, in all countries. There is not a country that you can say, this is perfect, no? So as Devorah said, and the statement of Eleanor Roosevelt said, we're here. Today, you know your 30 human rights. Exercise them, demand them, teach them, share them. That's the way.
Discuss them.
Now that you know them.
More questions?
I just want to add up to something really quick. Nicola's statement was actually my point, because in your presentation you said that one of the reasons that you're teaching this is to avoid that to happen again, and it's happening. It's happening in the Middle East. It's happening with Israelites and Palestinians. And how can we enforce them? You did say education, but unfortunately you cannot educate certain movements, if we could call it that way, in the sense of how it's active at this moment in the Middle East. And at that point, there's not an enforcement that could be done through education. Unfortunately, there's not much that we could do, but just keep hope and spread this to other people.
Yes.
But when it's happening, that we are trying to avoid that to happen, it keeps happening.
Don't let everything to the institutions.
Yes.
It's like right now. Right now we have the right to vote. You can change whatever you think is bad or good, or if you don't vote, what are you doing? If you don't know your human rights, what are you doing? I just said that only 4 million people out of 8 billion have read this document. So we have to start from the beginning, from the mission of the United Nations, to teach this document to everybody, teach them in school. And they seem, to have forgotten that. Because it's only, informers, this is very, yes. No, you have to start to empowering the people to act. How you empower a citizen if you don't know your constitution, you don't know your human rights? It's our responsibility too, you know? Now that you know, you are the ones who are gonna do something with that, with this information. I cannot oblige you to do something or go teach your parents, go teach. No. You have to do it because you think it's important, because it's your responsibility, and because we want a better world, and the only ones who can change these are these young people. This is my opinion. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you so much, Elizabeth, as well, for always bringing awareness and teaching us our rights, and then also educating our next generation as well. We really appreciate this session, and we appreciate the work that you do in the community, because we know every day you are in a school supporting this great cause and creating more awareness. So I really appreciate everyone's time. I also appreciate the engagement as well. Thank you so much for being here today in our last TTR session that is going to be in person. But next week we are gonna come back again, but this time around it's gonna be online on a session that is going to be talking about understanding homelessness, so the causes, the challenges, and the solutions. So this is one of those areas that we learn about today, and we would like to continue expanding on this topic with Alexandra Gonzalez from the Office of ISSS and former AmeriCorps. Thank you so much for being here today, and I hope you have a wonderful day.